starting first with the top headlines. Battle for Tripura intensifies, polling to begin for the first elections of 2023 shortly. Massive anger across the country over the murder of serving army man. DMK councillor arrested after pressure mounts, yet not a single word from Chief Minister Stalin. BBC faces IT heat. Surveys continue at offices in the national capital and Mumbai. Video goes viral of alleged SP leader SP Maurya's supporters attacking Hindu seer. Nepal king makes first public appearance at a program where demand of monarchy is made. A very good morning. Now, polling is underway in Tripura in a multi-cornered contest in which the ruling BJP and Indigenous People's Front of Tripura is facing challenge from an alliance of the left and the Congress and the Tripura Indigenous Progressive Regional Alliance MOTA, which has emerged as the newest entrant in the political battle. The results for the elections would be announced on 2nd of March. 28 lakh voters would decide the fate of 259 candidates that are in the fray.
भारत माता की!
It has been a hotly contested election in Tripura. The BJP-IPFT alliance calling for a double-engine government again.
ये चुनाव त्रिपुरा के लिए बड़ा निर्णायक चुनाव। आपने कई साल तक कांग्रेस का शासन देखा है, 27 साल तक कम्युनिस्टों का शासन देखा है। ये दोनों ने त्रिपुरा के विकास के लिए, त्रिपुरा के गरीबों के लिए, त्रिपुरा के आदिवासियों के लिए कुछ नहीं। त्रिपुरा को झस का तस छोड़ दिया। त्रिपुरा में अगर विकास आया तो केवल और केवल भारतीय जनता पार्टी के 5 साल के अंदर त्रिपुरा में विकास पहुंचा है।
The left says it is confident it will root out the BJP in the state.
मीटिंग घुसने की, लेकिन यहाँ पे आज आकर आप लोगों को जब देख रहा हूँ तो मेरी उत्साह बढ़ रही है कि ना सिर्फ त्रिपुरा में, पूरे देश भर में आज भाजपा को हराएंगे, भारत बचाएंगे और साथ साथ आज त्रिपुरा बचाएंगे।
Pradyot Manikya Bikramdev Barma led Tripura MOTA is hoping to cause a dent. It's a three-cornered fight and the stakes are high. Tripura has been known to have a high turnout year on year. All eyes are now on what will elections 2023 hold. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Now, the murder of a soldier in Tamil Nadu's Krishnagiri district has triggered massive outrage in the country. It was on 8th of February that Lance Naik Prabhu and his brother were attacked by a mob led by DMK leader. While the police has now arrested the accused DMK leader, there is still not a word either from Vatra Congress or even from the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. Lance Naik Prabhu of the military police was beaten and murdered in Tamil Nadu's Krishnagiri district. A political mob allegedly led by DMK councillor Chinnaswamy attacked Lance Naik Prabhu and his brother 8 days ago.
Two army jawans along with their wives and nephews were extremely heavily attacked by a DMK ward councillor of the Velampatti village in Pochampalli taluk of the Krishnagiri district, and this was over the dispute of the wife using water from a common water tank to wash clothes. When the jawans went to defend the lady of their house, they were brutally attacked by the DMK ward councillor and his family members, his cousins, everybody.
Lance Naik Prabhu's sister-in-law described the heinous nature of the attack.
அக்கா இது நடந்துட்டு அப்புறம் இவங்க சின்ன சாமி எடுத்தோடனே செருப்பு எடுத்து கையில காமிச்சிருக்காருக்கா. வீட்டுக்காரன செருப்பால அடிக்கணும் அப்பதான் அடங்குவனி அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்காருக்கா.
ஒரு நிமிஷம். So it's very shocking that he actually says that the counselor had actually shown a slipper to the army officer, and he had said, this is what Priya is saying, that he had said that military officers will only listen if we show them the slipper.
Despite a police complaint, the DMK councillor accused of murder was allowed to abscond for a week. Now, with the spotlight on the case, the key accused DMK councillor has finally been arrested. But Chief Minister and DMK Chief Stalin, who has been travelling around Salem and tweeting about it relentlessly, has not uttered a word on this brutality that took place 2 hours away. There has been no word on whether the DMK councillor has been so much as suspended from the party.
This shows the state of law and order in the state of Tamil Nadu under the leadership of M.K. Stalin. Whenever DMK is in power, the law and order will be severely compromised because DMK and its men don't respect the law of the land. And this has gone to the extent of killing an army officer who protects us from all the evils.
The Vadra Congress protests for the British Broadcasting Corporation, but not for an Indian soldier who was killed in a state where they are in power. Now, the BJP has announced that members of the BJP Tamil Nadu ex-servicemen wing wearing their badge and cap will protest against the DMK government. India will fight for our soldiers. Bureau Report, Republic TV. Now, while there is still not a word from Vadra Congress or even the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Lance Naik Prabhu's sister-in-law spoke to Republic Media Network's editor-in-chief Arnab Goswami, narrating exactly what happened on 8th of February and how the DMK Neta, drunk in power, thrashed the serving army man to death.
Is the wife of the elder brother of Lance Naik Prabhu, and my colleague Deepthi will help me translate and speak to Priya. So, first of all, Deepthi, if you can convey my condolences to her, and if she can tell us what happened on the 8th, if you can tell her in Tamil.
Priya, கேக்குதா?
கேக்குதுக்கா.
இன்னைக்கு நம்மளோட வந்து பிரியா லான்ஸ் நாயக்கோட அண்ணி பிரியா வந்து நம்மளோட இருக்காங்க. முதல்ல அர்ணப் கோஸ்வாமி சார் அவங்க வந்து உங்களுக்கு அவங்களோட இரங்கலை தெரிவிக்கிறார். இந்த இன்சிடெண்ட் பற்றி தான் இன்றைக்கி நாங்கள் டிபேட் பண்ணுறோம் 9 PM ஷோவில். தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் ஜாயினிங் அஸ். அண்ட் முதல்ல என்ன நடந்துச்சு, 8ஆம் தேதி அன்றைக்கி இந்த இன்சிடெண்ட் நடந்துச்சு இல்லை, அன்றைக்கி என்ன எக்ஸாக்டாக நடந்துச்சுன்னு கொஞ்சம் சொல்ல முடியுமா?
சொல்றேன்க்கா. எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் த்ரோட் பெயினா இருக்குக்கா, அதனால வாய்ஸ் வர மாட்டேனுக்கா.
ஒன்றும் பரவாயில்ல, நீங்கள் பேசுறது கேட்குது, அப்படியே சொல்லுங்கள்.
ஓகேக்கா. அதாவது 8ஆம் தேதி காலையில் ஒரு 10 மணி இருக்கும்க்கா.
சொல்லுங்க.
கேக்குதாக்கா?
கேக்குது சொல்லுங்க.
8ஆம் தேதி காலையில் ஒரு 10 மணி இருக்கும்க்கா. வந்து காலையிலக்கா வியாழக்கிழமை விடிஞ்சா எங்க ஊர்ல கும்பாபிஷேக திருவிழாக்கு எல்லாரும் ரெடி பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாங்கக்கா. வியாழக்கிழமை பால் கூட எடுக்கணும், அதனால நான் காலேஜுக்கு போயிருந்தேக்கா. நான் பிஎட் ஃபைனல் இயர் படிச்சுட்டு இருக்கேன் இப்போ.
ஓகே.
எங்க வீட்டுக்காரும் எங்க மச்சினர் ஒய்ஃப் 2 பேரும் சேர்ந்து டேங்கு கிட்ட துணி துவைக்கிறதாக்கா போனாங்க. தனிக்கும் இது அவங்களோட சொந்த பைப் இல்லக்கா, தெரு தண்ணி. அது போட்டு ரொம்ப வருஷம் ஆகுது, அது அவங்களும் போடல. எங்க வீட்டுக்காரர் துணி துவைச்சிட்டு இருக்கும் போதே அவங்க மருமகங்க இன்னும் ஊர்க்காரங்க இன்னும் 2-3 பேர் எல்லாருமே துணி துவைச்சிட்டாக்கா இருந்திருக்காங்க. அப்போ வந்து எங்க வீட்டுக்காரும் எங்க மச்சினர் ஒய்ஃபும் 2 பேரும் போயிருக்காங்கக்கா. போயிட்டு பெட்ஷீட் தாங்க ஒரே ஒரு பெட்ஷீட் தான் எடுத்துட்டு போயிருக்காங்க. பெட்ஷீட் அலசலான்னு எடுத்து வெளியதாக்க போட்டாரு, தண்ணி கூட பிடிக்கல. இவரு சின்னசாமி வந்து இங்கெல்லாம் அலசக்கூடாது, இங்க ஏன் அலசுறீங்கன்னு கேட்டிருக்காங்க. அதுக்கு எங்க வீட்டுக்காரர் இருந்து சரி நான் போயிடுறேன்னு சொல்லிட்டு அமைதியாதாக்கா வந்தாரு. வந்துட்டு எங்க வீட்டுக்கு வெளியே ஜல்லி கொட்டி வச்சிருக்கோம்க்கா. அந்த ஜல்லிக்கிட்ட எங்க வீட்டுக்காரு ஜல்லிக்கிட்ட அவங்க அம்மா கிட்ட உட்காந்துட்டு எங்க வீட்டுக்காரு நான் எதுவுமே சொல்லல, எல்லாரும் அழைக்கிறாங்க. அவங்க
request her to pause for a minute and just translate it for me what she said so far.
இது வரைக்கும் நீங்க என்ன சொல்லிருக்கீங்கன்னா நாங்க டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்றோம் வியூவர்ஸ்க்காக.
For our viewers.
ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம். So she has been explaining.
Louder, please, yeah.
So she has been Priya, she's the sister-in-law and she's studying college. She's doing her BA and everything, and she is explaining how it happened at like 10 o'clock in the morning when there was a festival. There's some ongoing festival in the village, and all these people had gathered, and Lance Naik Prabhu and his wife and everyone had gone to the location to. It is an area tank. It's not a tank that's owned by the politician and stuff. And she has also explained how the politician does not own the tank and he was not the person who set it up. And they had gone to just wash their clothes at the tank, and that is when they had washed the clothes and come back home as well. And that's up till the point that she has explained.
Okay, then can she continue please, and we'll get all other guests on screen also please. I'm listening on.
அப்புறம் எடுத்துட்டு வீட்டுக்கு வந்துட்டு இருக்காருக்கா. வீட்டுக்கு வந்து அவங்க அம்மா கிட்ட உட்காந்து சொல்லியிருக்காரு, மா இவங்க மட்டும் கார் கழுவுறாங்க, மீன் கழுவுறாங்க, அவங்க குளிச்சுட்டு அவங்க ஜெட்டி முதல் கொண்டு அங்கேயே துவைக்கிறாங்க, அவங்க மருமக 2 பேரும் அங்க அப்ப அந்த ஸ்பாட்ல அங்க துவைச்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஏன் அவங்க கிட்ட யார்கிட்டயும் கேட்காம என்ன மட்டும் வந்து அந்த மாமா திட்டுறாரு அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்காருக்கா.
Okay, so she is now, she said that they, even when they were washing the clothes right then and there, the councillor had come and started yelling and then trying to cause a fit and throwing a rage about why they're washing the clothes near the syntax tank. And so then he had come home and complained to parents and everybody. He was telling the family that, you know, why are they complaining and targeting only us when the entire village actually washes their clothes, they wash their fish and everything in that tank. So நீங்க கண்டினியூ பண்ணலாம்.
இது நடந்துட்டு அப்புறம் இவங்க சின்னசாமி எடுத்த உடனே செருப்பு எடுத்து கையில காமிச்சிருக்காருக்கா. மிலிட்டரிக்காரன செருப்பால அடிக்கணும் அப்பதான் அடங்குவனி அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்காருக்கா.
ஒரே நிமிஷம். So it's very shocking that he actually says that the councillor had actually shown a slipper to the army officer and he had said, this is what Priya is saying, that he had said that military officers will only listen if we show them the slipper.
Military officers, 1 minute. I want to get the other guests in. Are you listening what has been said? The politician says to the now deceased Lance Naik Prabhu that military officers, military people will only listen if we show them the slipper, the chappal. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an account of Priya.
Unacceptable, sir. This is absolutely unacceptable because...
What do you mean unacceptable? How do you know? How do you... Please don't disturb first of all, Rama. No, don't disturb. I'm speaking to Priya. I'm speaking to Priya. Don't disturb. I'm getting an account.
Okay.
Don't try to censor me, Rama.
Listen to me.
Don't try to censor me, Rama. Please tell him not to censor. Now, please continue. Please continue.
Priya, நீங்க அப்படி சொன்ன அவர் வந்து லான்ஸ் நாயக் பிரபுவா அப்படி சொன்னார் இல்ல,
அவங்க அண்ணா
பிரபாகர் கிட்ட அப்படி சொன்னாரு. He had told the elder brother Prabhakaran that army people will only listen if they're shown the slipper. அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன நடந்துச்சு?
அதுக்கப்புறம் வாய் தகராறுல 2 பேருக்குமே பிரச்சனை ஏற்பட்டிருக்குக்கா. சரி 2 பேரும் பேசினால ஊர்க்காரங்க எல்லாம் சேர்த்து 2 பேரையும் விலைக்கு அவங்க வேலையை பார்த்துட்டு போங்க, நாளைக்கு திருவிழா இருக்கு, இந்த நேரத்துல இது தேவையான்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஊர்க்காரங்க எல்லாம் சேர்த்து விலைக்கு விட்டுட்டு இருக்காங்கக்கா.
Okay, can you just translate that?
So there was a verbal fight that ensued between the councillor and the family, and then the villagers also got involved, and then they dispersed everybody and then said that there are festivities going on, so you guys just...
And then when did the attack happen?
இப்போ attack வந்து எப்போ நடந்துச்சு எக்ஸாக்ட்டா?
ஈவினிங் ஒரு 5:30 இருக்கும்.
5:30. It was at 5:30.
How did it happen? How did the attack happen?
எப்படி நடந்துச்சு அட்டாக்?
அதுதான்க்கா சொல்றேன் கேளுங்க.
சொல்லுங்க.
ஈவினிங் ஒரு 5:30 இருக்குங்க. 5:30க்கு எங்க மாமனாரு வீதியில யாரோ ஒருத்தர்கிட்ட ஜஸ்ட் காலையில எதுவுமே சொல்லல, இந்த மாதிரி என் பையனை ஸ்லிப் எடுத்து காமிச்சிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு சும்மா நார்மலா தான் பேசிட்டு இருந்தாரு. சின்ன சமயம் ரோட்ல இருந்து ஊருக்கு போற வழியில நடந்து வந்துட்டு இருக்காரு.
ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம். So she said that it happened at 5:30 and then there were already tensions were high because they said that he was threatened.
What did you say about iron rods or something?
No.
Okay.
நீங்க சொல்லுங்க.
We slip into a very short break for now, but on the other side, we'll get you live coverage from Tripura, where voting begins for 60 seats in the state.
The development of a nation is influenced by education.
Education that does not enable independent thinking and knowing is devoid of something fundamental.
Education helps implement effective social reforms.
Focus more on the fundamentals like the skills of decision making, mental models, or love towards reading.
Education's main purpose is to build the necessary skills which help us to succeed in life.
Catch the special episode of Read India celebration this weekend only on Republic TV.
QSMTHE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
The light combat helicopter Prachand, which is indigenously manufactured by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, it's been loaded with rockets and missiles as well. And focusing over here is this turret gun, which has again been manufactured by the HAL. These are 70 mm rockets which will be loaded into the Prachand. 10 of these Prachands have been taken by the Indian Air Force and 5 of them are with the Indian Army as of now, and we have 15 of them with us. And this definitely puts India on a high pedestal.
सेना के कुछ नेता बीबीसी दफ्तर के बाहर ये लोग बैनर पोस्टर लेकर पहुंचे हुए हैं और लगातार बीबीसी का विरोध ये कर रखे हैं। बीबीसी को लेकर लगातार नारेबाजी इनके द्वारा की जा रही है। और ये देखिए पुलिस जो है अब इनके बैनर पोस्टर लेकर यहाँ से इन्हें हटाने की कोशिश कर रही है। तस्वीरें आप देख लीजिए। और अब पुलिस ने इनसे बैनर पोस्टर ले लिए हैं और यहाँ से इन्हें हटाने की कार्रवाई लगातार चल रही है।
जो देश दशकों से सबसे बड़ा डिफेंस इंपोर्टर था, वो अब दुनिया के 75 देशों को डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा है।
Why, sir? But why?
No, I don't.
We'll speak, sir.
No, I won't.
About your statement.
No, I won't.
That you made yesterday.
No, I don't want to speak. No, please. I don't want to speak.
What's wrong in that?
I don't want to speak. That's all. Why do you want to force me?
No, I'm not forcing you. I'm
Yes,
just
you're
asking
telling
you.
me to speak.
No. Actually, you have made this statement
That's
yesterday.
what I'm camera.
I'm just asking. Actually, folks have made this statement yesterday, and are you still stand with your statement?
Light utility helicopter which is being designed and manufactured by the HAL. So a massive development by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the light utility helicopter in this.
Thanks for staying tuned to Republic. In another Shraddha-like murder rerun in the national capital, a man killed his live-in partner and later stored her body in a fridge. The accused, identified as Sahil Gehlot, allegedly killed his long-time live-in partner Nikki Yadav, transported her body to his dhaba and put it in the refrigerator. The accused, named, in fact, married the same day to another woman.
The Nikki murder case that has sent shockwaves across the country.
Currently, I am at a location where the fridge has been taken into custody by the Delhi police. This place is called Khao Piyo Dhaba. It is in Najafgarh area of Delhi. This is exactly the place. As you can see, Delhi police has put few stickers here, and from inside it there was a fridge from where the body of Nikki was recovered.
Now CCTV video has emerged in the case. The victim was reportedly seen before the murder. In the CCTV footage, the victim was seen taking the stairs to her rented apartment where she used to live with the accused Sahil Gehlot. The last rites of Nikki were conducted yesterday. The grieving family had this to say.
कभी आपको ऐसा बताया कि कुछ मतलब उसको डर है या कुछ ऐसा कुछ?
कभी नहीं बताया किसी बात के बारे में, कभी भी किसी बात के बारे में बताया नहीं।
आपके पास बैठती थी?
हाँ, मेरे बड़ा वो मेरे बगैर तो रह नहीं सके थी। और आगे सबसे पहले मेरा बाबा किसी बात।
दोनों बहनें एक साथ आई थी या दोनों बहनें एक साथ?
एक साथ आई थी।
The DCW chief took cognizance of the matter.
इन्वेस्टिगेशन की जो तमाम बारीकियां होती हैं उस पर हमारी टीम काम कर रही है, जैसे गाड़ी को रिकवर करना, उसकी फोरेंसिक जांच कराना, फ़ोन्स में जो भी डाटा है उसको रिकवर करेंगे, और जो जहाँ जहाँ वो उसको घुमा के लेके गया मर्डर के दौरान वहाँ की कोशिश कर रहे हैं अगर सीसीटीवी फुटेज वगैरह मिल जाए।
Meanwhile, the accused Sahil Gehlot has been arrested and sent to the 5-day custody.
What were your arguments inside the court, if any?
See, right now the matter is in a very, very initial stage. So, it is better that police should investigate the matter. Only then we can comment. The next day, after the remand is over and the accused will be presenting before the court next time, then the matter will be more clear.
First Shraddha and now Nikki. Such gruesome crimes against women have once again forced us to question the women's safety in the national capital. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Now, as the IT surveys continue in the national capital and Mumbai, Republic exclusively spoke to the AIMIM chief who hit out at the centre over the IT surveys being carried out and the eviction drive taking place in Assam.
अपर आसाम में आसाम के चीफ मिनिस्टर ने लैंडलेस लोगों को पट्टा सर्टिफिकेट दिया। लोअर आसाम में वो क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं आप? क्यों इसलिए नहीं कर रहे हैं क्योंकि वो सब माइनॉरिटीज़ हैं, मुसलमान हैं, गरीब लोग हैं। अपर आसाम में दे दिया आपने, यहाँ पर क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं आप?
नहीं, बट ऐसा कम्युनल
नहीं, बिल्कुल है। इसलिए कि अपर आसाम में जब आप लैंडलेस लोगों को पट्टा सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हैं तो वही पॉलिसी को आप लोअर आसाम में इम्प्लीमेंट क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? मेरा सवाल आसाम की बीजेपी सरकार से है, इनकंसिस्टेंट पॉलिसी कैसा होगी आपकी है? जब लैंडलेस पोर को आप अपर आसाम में दे रहे हैं तो लोअर आसाम में भी दीजिए ना। उनको आप बेघर कर दे रहे हैं, उनको आप रोड पे ला ले रहे हैं, उन फैमिलीज के साथ वो लोग परेशान हैं।
लेकिन सर वहाँ पे सरकार का यही कहना है कि जो इलीगली रह रहे हैं उनका ही एविक्शन, वहाँ वही लोकेलिटी का एविक्शन ड्राइव हो रहा है। ऐसा कोई कास्ट को देख के ऐसा कुछ
नहीं, बिल्कुल हो रहा है। डिलिबरेट एक्शन किया जा रहा है, बायस्ड एटीट्यूड है ये, इसमें कोई डिनाई नहीं कर सकता। और अगर आप नहीं हैं तो आप उनको पट्टा सर्टिफिकेट दीजिए, जैसा आपने अपर आसाम में दिया। यहाँ पर क्यों नहीं देना चाह रहे आप?
सर अभी हाल में हमने देखा कि बीबीसी डॉक्यूमेंट्री जो कहीं सोशल मीडिया से टेक डाउन की गई थी, निकाल दी गई थी, अब आईटी सर्वे हो रहा है बीबीसी ऑफिस में दिल्ली में और मुंबई में। आप इसको किस तरह से देखते हैं?
बीबीसी के उस 2002 के जेनोसाइड को जो बीबीसी ने दिखाया, उसके बाद प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार ने उस पर बैन लगा दिया अंग्रेज़ों के बनाए हुए क़ानून के तहत। और जो लोग नहीं जानते थे, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना मिलेनियन जनरेशन या जनरेशन जी, उनको पता चल गया कि गुजरात में क्या हुआ था। और उसके बाद फिर उनके पास जाकर इनकम टैक्स का वो सर्वे बोलिए, रेड होना, ये बड़ा ही अजीब बात है। क्या अगर वो वीडियो नहीं जारी करते गुजरात के बारे में तो क्या ये सर्वे होता क्या, या ये रेड होता क्या? ये क्वेश्चन हम सरकार से पूछना चाह रहे हैं।
लेकिन आप सरकार पे सवाल उठाया, आप सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट पे सवाल उठा रहे हैं, लेकिन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के मंत्रियों का यही कहना है कि वो टैक्सेशन रिलेटेड इश्यूज है और इसीलिए बस उन आईटी ऑफिशियल्स जो है वो उनका सर्वे कर रहे हैं, उनका काम कर रहे हैं। वो डॉक्यूमेंट्री और उसके साथ कोई लिंक नहीं है।
LIC और SBI ने काफ़ी इन्वेस्टमेंट किया एक बहुत बड़े इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट के उसमें, और उनकी 40% वेल्थ एक शॉर्ट सेलर हाइडनबर्ग की रिपोर्ट के बाद वाइप आउट हो गई। तो फिर क्या उस पर आप कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे, उस पर आप कुछ नहीं रिएक्ट करेंगे सरकार? ये भी तो क्वेश्चन उठता है ना, जब आप ही कह रहे हैं कि उनके बीबीसी की ये देखना था, वो देखना था। तो और फिर आज बीबीसी के बारे में जब बैन लगाया गया तो सब लोग पुकार कर कह रहे थे बीबीसी ये भाई, जब इमरजेंसी इस देश में इंदिरा गांधी ने लगाई थी, उस वक्त बीजेपी के एक बहुत बड़े लीडर हैं जो आज भी हैं इस दुनिया में, वो तो जेल में अपनी किताब में लिखे कि मैं जेल में बीबीसी रेडियो सुनकर अपने साथियों को बताता था कि ऐसा हो रहा है, ये नहीं हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है। मगर एक बात तो है, देखिए गुजरात में जो कुछ हुआ उसको कोई नहीं भुला सकता। वो एक हिस्टोरिकल फैक्ट है कि जेनोसाइड हुआ वहाँ पर, और आज भी आप देख रहे हैं कि इतने 20 साल के बाद भी बिल्किस बानो अपने इंसाफ के लिए लड़ रही है, तो इसको कौन डिनाई कर सकता है?
That's all we have for you in this edition of our broadcast. Do not go anywhere. World This Morning coming up on the other side of this very short break. Russia boosts trade ties with India, says Western sanctions against Russia catalyst for trade with India. And US State Secretary Blinken to visit quake-hit Turkey on Sunday, says will review rescue operations.
QS&THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Light utility helicopter which is being designed and manufactured by the HAL. So a massive development by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the light utility helicopter in this particular category, going on to show that India is moving towards Atmanirbharta, and HAL is definitely going on and providing a shot in the arm for the Air Force sector as well.
Kashmiri Pandits are staging protests here in Jammu, demanding the release of their salaries and also the security in the Kashmir Valley. They are saying till the time that the security is not restored, they won't be going back to the Kashmir Valley. But the Jammu and Kashmir police has imposed section 144 in the area, and they have been asked to move away from the area. The protesters have been detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police after several warnings that were given to the Kashmiri Pandits.
The light combat helicopter Prachand, which is indigenously manufactured by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, it's been loaded with rockets and missiles as well. And focusing over here is this turret gun, which is again been manufactured by the HAL. These are 70 rockets which will be loaded into the Prachand. 10 of these Prachands have been taken by the Indian Air Force and 5 of them are with the Indian Army as of now, and we have 15 of them with us, and this definitely puts India on a high pedestal.
सेना के कुछ नेता बीबीसी दफ्तर के बाहर ये लोग बैनर पोस्टर लेकर पहुंचे हुए हैं और लगातार बीबीसी का विरोध ये कर रखे हैं। बीबीसी को लेकर लगातार नारेबाजी इनके द्वारा की जा रही है और ये देखिए पुलिस जो है अब इनके बैनर पोस्टर लेकर यहाँ से इन्हें हटाने की कोशिश कर रही है। तस्वीरें आप देख लीजिए और अब पुलिस ने इनसे बैनर पोस्टर ले लिए हैं और यहाँ से इन्हें हटाने की कार्रवाई लगातार चल रही है।
Hello and welcome. For all the news from across the globe that's breaking and developing at this hour, I'm Rukma with you and welcome to this edition of World This Morning on Republic. And over the next 30 minutes, I'll be taking you through all those top stories, even as well within India. Election season has set in with the polls today in Tripura. Across the world, in the United States too, it's election season beginning as Nikki Haley, who calls herself the proud daughter of Indian immigrants, announces her candidature for the 2024 White House elections. Also in other news, India increases ties with countries across the globe. All that and more in the next half hour. But first, the headlines. Nikki Haley announces 2024 White House bid, says proud daughter of Indian immigrants. Prime Minister Modi speaks to his Spanish counterpart. Pedro Sanchez briefs him on India's priorities for G20. Russia boosts trade ties with India, says Western sanctions against Russia, catalyst for trade with India. And IMF predicts global inflation to drop this year, says priority to achieve sustained disinflation. US State Secretary Blinken to visit quake-hit Turkey on Sunday, says will review rescue operations. Welcome once again. In our top story, in a symbolic but significant political move, former Nepal king Gyanendra Shah on Monday joined a public campaign that envisages restoration of Nepal's earlier status of a Hindu kingdom. Here's a look at what happened in that entire story.
It was an event calling for the restoration of Nepal's earlier status of a Hindu kingdom. And in attendance was the former Nepal king Gyanendra Shah. The event, Let's Save Dharma, Nation, Nationalism, Culture and Citizens mega campaign was flagged off from Kakarbeta in eastern Nepal's Jhapa. While the former king may not have said a word, in his presence, the call to restore a Hindu state were made. The event took place on the day sitting PM Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal led Nepal government declared a holiday on the occasion of the 23rd anniversary of the Maoist war. Spearheaded by CPN UML Central Member Durga Prasai in Kakarbeta, the call for a Hindu state is said to cause a churn in Nepal. Agency report, Republic TV.
And we are getting breaking news for you from the United States. There's been a crash in a helicopter, a Black Hawk helicopter crashes in the Tennessee National Guard on Wednesday. in Alabama, killing everyone on board. Well, that's what we know at this point. Let's go across to my colleague Samiksha, who's joining us from the Mumbai newsroom. Samiksha, it's over to you to take our viewers through what happened. All we know now is that it's a massive crash. All on board are reported dead. What would you say that number would be? All the details. Over to you. Well, military officials say 2 people on board were killed. That's what we're hearing again. An army official said the helicopter, which was on a training mission, crashed around 3:30 p.m. local time and caught fire. US officials spoke on condition of anonymity, discussed an incident that was under investigation. The UH-60 helicopter, more widely known as a Black Hawk, crashed northwest of Huntsville along Alabama Highway 53. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency said in a statement local news outlets showed large plumes of black smoke rising from the crash site, and multiple emergency response vehicles were also on the scene. And this is an image of the crashed helicopter. It is being said that 2 people who were on board lost their lives in this massive crash. It's a Black Hawk helicopter, and this is in Alabama in the United States. And it's a matter still under investigation, so officially there are very few details that are available. It's a Tennessee National Guard Black Hawk helicopter, and it crashed in Alabama and resulted in the death of all on board. And this was all the details that were made available to the public by a spokesperson from the Madison County Sheriff's Office. And it has been clarified, stated very clearly that there are no survivors of the crash. And moving on now, NATO defense ministers met on Wednesday for a second day of talks in Brussels. NATO members and Ukraine's other allies have been meeting at the alliance's headquarters to drum up more support for war-torn Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has also urged the 30 member countries of NATO to commit to spending at least 2% of their gross domestic product, that's GDP, on defense by a set date.
The Russia-Ukraine war continues to drag on a year after it began. But how long will Ukraine stand firm on ground to fight the mighty Russia? Ukraine needs weapons and ammunition from its allies for a fair fight against Putin's forces. On Wednesday, the NATO defense ministers held second round of talks to drum up more support for Ukraine. The war-ridden nation has been facing Putin's aggression since over a year now.
Well, if Vladimir Putin wants peace, he can leave Ukraine. Until that time, we need to continue to do whatever is necessary to support Ukraine's sovereignty and stability in the short and the long term. There are 3 main categories of aid that we are discussing: air defense missile systems, continued 155mm ammunition, as well as tanks.
Many NATO allies are bilaterally supplying weapons to Ukraine.
And in all 3 categories, Canada has been contributing, and we are working closely with our allies to ensure that aid of all sorts continues to be put on the table for Ukraine. Canada has contributed over $1 billion of military aid for Ukraine and over $5 billion of aid across humanitarian, economic, and military aid. That's just an example of the type of commitment that countries are putting on the table. We had a very fulsome discussion yesterday. I was pleased to meet with my counterpart, Minister Resnikov, as well.
The meetings are a result of General Secretary Jens Stoltenberg's warning earlier this week that Ukraine could run out of ammunition.
And I can assure you,
the NATO Secretary General wants allies to spend 2% of the GDP on defense.
but what is obvious is that if it was right to commit to spend 2% in 2014, it is even more right now. Because we live in a more dangerous world. There is a full-fledged war going on in Ukraine, in Europe, and then we see the persistent threat of terrorism, and we see also the challenges that China is posing to our security. So it is obvious that we need to spend more. My, what should I say, thinking around this is that instead of changing the 2%, I think we should move from regarding the 2% as a ceiling to regard the 2% of GDP as a floor, a minimum.
NATO allies in Europe and Canada increased defense spending for the 8th consecutive year in 2022, adding around $350 billion to their budgets. Some members have suggested that NATO should move toward a 2.5% guideline. Others say that is unrealistic. Agency report, Republic TV.
In other news, the White House said on Monday that President Joe Biden will establish an inter-agency team to look into unidentified objects in United States airspace in light of the 3 objects having been shot down by the military over the weekend. Here's a look at the entire story.
On February 14, the Biden administration announced that it is forming an interagency group to address a recent string of unidentified aerial phenomena over the US. As the search continues for 3 mysterious objects shot down over Canada and the US, the White House says it will be engaging its allies on the subject of unidentified aerial phenomena. Unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP for short, is a term used in official circles for what are more commonly known as unidentified flying objects, or UFOs.
We were able to determine that China has a high-altitude balloon program for intelligence collection that's connected to the People's Liberation Army. It was operating during the previous administration, but they did not detect it. We detected it. We tracked it. And we have been carefully studying it to learn as much as we can. We know that these PRC surveillance balloons have crossed over dozens of countries on multiple continents around the world, including some of our closest allies and partners.
The President, through his National Security Advisor, has directed an interagency team to study the broader policy implications for detection, analysis, and disposition of UFOs. The White House has claimed that every element of the government will redouble their efforts to understand and mitigate these events. US on February 4 shot down what it claimed was a Chinese spy balloon after tracking it across the country. 3 other objects have been shot down since February 3, 2 over US airspace and another one over Canada, which was also shot down by US. The US has now asserted that the authorities would continue to assess the situation. However, the US has denied of any alien claims right now. Agency report, Republic TV.
The Pakistan government on Wednesday introduced a money bill in parliament to raise 170 billion rupees in taxes by June this year as part of conditions by the IMF to get the next tranche of an already agreed to loan.
The crisis-ridden Pakistan left at IMF's mercy. The crisis-ridden Pakistan had held talks with IMF for 10 days, but they ended in a deadlock. But to save itself from more ruin, the nation has agreed to the conditions laid by IMF. The cash-strapped Pakistan government called an emergency session of parliament on Wednesday. The agenda of the parliament was to introduce a bill to raise rupees 170 billion taxes by June. Pakistan is desperate for the loan from the global lender. The Pakistani government will now tax the framers and electricity users. The tax bill will be another hardship the people of the country will have to face. While the people of the country are struggling for basic necessities, its leaders are busy putting blame on one another. The utter desperation of the nation will be harsh on the pockets of its citizens. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
In other international news, Republican Nikki Haley kicks off her 2024 presidential campaign. Haley cast herself as a figure for generational change to help the party win the White House again, urging voters to put your trust in a new generation. Haley is the first notable Republican to challenge Trump for the nomination. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg urges 30 member countries to commit to spending at least 2% of their gross domestic product on defense by a set date as Russia's war in Ukraine and other threats eat into military spending.
It is almost 1 year since Russia launched its full-fledged invasion of Ukraine, the biggest conflict in Europe since World War II. And we see no signs that Russia is preparing for peace. On the contrary, Russia is launching new offensives. Yesterday, Defense Minister Resnikov updated NATO ministers on the situation and Ukraine's most urgent needs. I welcome the new pledges of support made by NATO allies, including more heavy weapons and military training. This is critical. Ukraine has a window of opportunity to tip the balance, and time is of the essence.
China's top diplomat Wang Yi met French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna for a bilateral meeting in Paris. The French capital is the first stop on Wang's tour of Europe. In the days to come, he will also travel to Italy, Hungary, Russia and Germany. French President Emmanuel Macron welcomes the Emir of Qatar at Elysee Palace for a bilateral meeting. Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani has been in Paris since Tuesday, where he watched Bayern Munich defeat Qatari-owned PSG. Sweden's Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson met with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky during a visit to the Ukrainian capital to discuss future military aid. Sweden pledged to rush fearsome artillery cannons to Ukraine, but also cautioned that future military aid would have to be balanced with its own defense needs as a would-be future member of the NATO military alliance. At least 12 people wounded after Russian forces strike a 5-storied apartment block in the Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk. At least 2 more people remained under the rubble after the building in a residential part of Pokrovsk was fired on at around 10 a.m. local time. Rescue operations are underway. Dozens of Michigan State University students took a seat on the state capitol steps in protest 2 days after a gunman opened fire on their nearby campus. Hundreds of members of Berlin's Turkish and Syrian communities gathered at the Brandenburg Gate to say their prayers for the victims of last week's earthquakes that killed over 41,000 in Turkey and Syria. Members of the Muslim community led prayers and thanked the German volunteers who flew out to help with rescue efforts last week. Thousands marched in the Colombian capital Bogota protesting against the package of social reforms proposed by President Gustavo Petro. Petro's administration, the first leftist government in Colombia, seeks to implement tax, labor and healthcare reforms, among others. At least 39 migrants were killed and about 20 were injured early on Wednesday when the bus they were riding in western Panama tumbled off a cliff. Authorities have called it the worst accident involving migrants in Panama in at least a decade. Time for a short break. Coming up in World This Morning after this is Nikki Haley announcing her 2024 White House bid, says proud daughter of Indian immigrants. Also coming up, US State Secretary Blinken to visit quake-hit Turkey on Sunday, says will review rescue operations.
QS&THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
जो देश दशकों से सबसे बड़ा डिफेंस इंपोर्टर था, वो अब दुनिया के 75 देशों को डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा है।
Why, sir? But why?
No, don't.
We'll speak, sir.
No, I won't.
About your statement.
No, I won't.
That you made yesterday.
No, I don't want to speak. Go, please. I don't want to speak.
What's wrong in that?
I don't want to speak. That's all. Why do you want to force me?
No, yeah, I'm not forcing you. I'm
Yes,
just
you're telling
asking
me
you.
to speak.
No. Actually, you have made this statement
That's
yesterday.
what करो ऐसे कैमरा।
I'm just asking. Actually, Fox have made this statement yesterday, and are you still stand with your statement?
Light utility helicopter which is being designed and manufactured by the HAL. So a massive development by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the light utility helicopter in this particular category, going on to show that India is moving towards Atmanirbharta, and HAL is definitely going on and providing a shot in the arm for the Air Force sector as well.
Kashmiri Pandits are staging protests here in Jammu, demanding the release of their salaries and also the security in the Kashmir Valley. They are saying till the time that the security is not restored, they won't be